First on BBC One, tonight's Omnibus is about the K Foundation, whose professed aim is to shock, and occasionally they use strong language.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, I start from the proposition that the artist is the most important member of society for the good and simple reason that at its best, art is the highest achievement of which the human spirit is capable. And it gives me very great pleasure to tear open this envelope and announce that the 1993 winner of the Turner Prize is Rachel Whiteread.
The Turner Prize for Art, which was won last night by Rachel Whiteread, has always been something of a controversial award. But the drama surrounding last night's announcement make previous rows look positively genteel. To begin with, just before being picked as Best Artist of the Year, with a cheque for £20,000 to back it up, Rachel Whiteread learnt that she had also been singled out as Worst Artist of the Year in an alternative award funded to the tune of 40 grand by the K Foundation, set up by the former rock group KLF as a bizarre and pricey comment on the state of contemporary art. As if that wasn't enough, at the same time, Whiteread's most celebrated work, Hoax, a complete concrete cast of a condemned terrace Victorian house at Bow in East London, got its demolition orders from the local council. The installation commissioned by the Archangel Trust had always only been granted a temporary site, but both artists and sponsors had campaigned vigorously for a 6-week extension. The council, apparently unimpressed by the Turner judges' feelings about the work, said no. So if nothing else happens, the most celebrated work of this year's Turner Prize winner will be destroyed next week. Rachel Whiteread established her reputation with sculptures created by making plaster casts of ordinary everyday objects. A bathtub, a sink, even the interior of whole rooms. But her most ambitious project was the casting in concrete of an entire terraced house at Bow in East London. The resulting sculpture drew critical acclaim and tabloid derision in almost equal measure. But Whiteread also found herself caught up in a concerted campaign to discredit the whole basis of the Turner Prize, in a spoiling tactic mounted by a group calling themselves the K Foundation. Turning the Turner Prize's claim to showcase the best of British art on its head, the K Foundation offered twice the prize money to the worst of the 4 nominated artists. As part of the elaborate hoax, journalists were handed packages of money and driven in stretch limos to a secret location to witness the preparation of the award. The £40,000 prize money was nailed to a picture frame, which was then transported back to London and chained to the Tate Gallery, awaiting its presentation to a reluctant Rachel Whiteread.
This is Rachel's award. Can we hear it for Rachel?
Meanwhile, back at Bow, despite appeals for its preservation, the local council had ordered the demolition of Whiteread's house.
My personal opinion is that it's a monstrosity, absolutely grotesque, and it might fit well into Welwyn Garden City or somewhere like that, but it doesn't fit well into our environment.
Well, joining me now in the studio are Rachel Whiteread herself and Richard Cork, art critic of The Times. Rachel, obvious first question, how on earth do you feel? A rather exquisite mixture of pain and pleasure has passed your way in this last day.
To be quite honest, I just feel exhausted. And have never had such a day of sort of ups and downs as I did yesterday. And I don't suppose I'll ever have one again.
How upset were you by the things that came after the Turner Prize? How much did that take away from the pleasure and celebration of being given that award?
Well, actually, I knew before anything else that I'd been awarded the K Foundation Award. And this happened yesterday afternoon, and I was basically blackmailed by the K Foundation to take the money, otherwise I would be letting £40,000 be burnt, and it would be you know, on my back. So what I decided to do after discussing it with solicitors and various other people was to say that I would accept the money, and then I had a statement prepared to say that I was immediately going to give the money away again.
No, it puts you, it sounds terrible to say this, but it puts you on a different kind of level to a lot of other artists, because it shows that you're prepared to fucking go the whole fucking way. You know, we're not pissing about.
Here we go.
Okay, so we've got a bank statement here. There you go. KLF's account, £1 million withdrawn. Bill and Jimmy came in and asked for £1 million of their own money, which we could all see from the bank statements they had. Simple request, you might think, which I certainly did at the time, and it wasn't until I rang the bank that I realised how difficult it was to get your hands on your own money. I mean, their particular request was a little different to normal, because they wanted brand new £50 notes, and only brand new £50 notes.
The K Foundation, one knows, is a product of KLF, and KLF were a radical and very interesting band. I got to know them through a mutual friend. I mean, they had very little contact with the art world, and one of the artists that I work with knows them, and so through him, they got in touch with, they wanted to discuss their ideas and the project that they had in mind with people in the art world, because they saw it very much, or were trying to see it very much, as art. Oh, wow. Great.
You nail it to a bit of wood so it can't function as it wants to. It's to do with controlling the money, because money tends to sort of control you if you've got it. It kind of dictates what you have to do with it. You either spend it, give it away, invest it. And we just wanted to be in control of it.
We had many discussions. As it turned out, I had no idea at the start that we would have many discussions about what their project was and whether it was going to be interesting, and I'm afraid I didn't find it the sort of thing that I was either particularly interested in, certainly not as art, and it was not something that I thought I would want to show in the gallery.
I'm not saying, hey, we're important, you know, this is a big artistic statement, you gotta, you know, you gotta, but I'm just thinking, yeah, there is more, you know, you've gotta, you can get more out of this than that. But why should they, you know, I suppose.
We're just trying to maybe push things a bit further, push ourselves as far as we could go, do the best thing that we possibly could do at any given time, and just see how far we could possibly go, you know, with an idea. Because the K Foundation, one of our little things we had written out was that, you know, we were a foundation that would go further than any other foundation would dare to go the whole way, and then not come back again.
The second time it happened again, I believe, which was summer '94. The intention initially was to mount the £1 million on the frame and actually give it to an art gallery, which I believe was to be kept there for until the year 2000 or 2001, at which time it was going to be auctioned or donated to young artists, I believe. The proceeds of the auction was nothing to do with Bill and Jimmy. For whatever reason, because I wasn't ever told the reasons, no gallery wanted it, I presume for security reasons. So I was then told that the £1 million was required by Bill and Jimmy. I went through the same questions again about security and insurance, and I was told this time they didn't want any. I believe I advised against doing things that way, but they wanted the £1 million, and other than the collection of the money and the delivery of the money to Bill and Jimmy, nothing else was arranged.
Well, I don't think you can want to be an artist. You are an artist or you're not an artist. You can't set out and say, I'm going to be an artist. How do I do it?
There's still 300 or 400 pounds per thousand. That's £50
This isn't trees in this oak.
That's what I imagine. Yeah. Someone will want to watch this.
I've never felt it was wrong for us to do it. I mean, I can regret it. but I don't know what it is, what we did. Some days I do, or bits of it. But I've never felt it was wrong. I mean, I know that I find it very hard to talk to a lot of people about it, but I don't talk to a lot of people. And I'd find it hard, you know, friends, or you know, people. If I was to meet somebody in a pub, and there's no way I could start talking to him, and you know, if he knew who I was and done this thing, or tell him about it, there's no way. You know, it'd be just, where'd you start? And so maybe if I was.
Go on, go outside and see Mum. You know, you want to make out that everything's fine and that it's this fantastic art statement and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's kind of riddled with flaws. The whole thing of burning the money I'm talking about. Well, just the possibility that it's just a load of rubbish and a complete waste of time. Once that comes up, you have to sort of, you know, you have to kind of deal with it. And it's, you know, most of the time it's not a big deal. You don't think about it, but if you do start thinking about it, you can get into this whole area where it's pretty, you know, it's pretty black. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, you know. Just that it's not, you know, there is another side to it, which is really heavy for me and Bill to deal with. Every day you wake up and you go, oh God, yeah, okay, I've just burnt £1 million. Everybody, nobody thinks it's good. Everybody just thinks it's a complete waste of time. You know, everybody wants to know why you did it, and you can't tell them why you did it because you don't know why you did it. It's just, you know, it's just not good enough, really.
That's an awful lot of charred the bank. What are you going to do?
Well, I think I should take it with, maybe. Don't know why.
Come in handy.
Yeah, it might come in handy one day.
You need a bit of ash.
Yeah.
Watching a small fortune burn. There's different techniques. Jimmy's screwing his money up, and Bill's just throwing his in straight. I think they're both burning at about the same rate though. There's a few £50 stuck in crevices in the rocks there that have avoided the flames so far. Do you think you may ever look back at it and think it wasn't the right idea?
Well, it's like anything,
Look
isn't
back.
We never look back.
Look at the concept of that.
Look, we're on the cutting edge of reality.
I wrote a piece about all that went on in Jura and the events beforehand for the Observer. When the piece came out, I expected that lots of other people might want to follow up on the story. After all, it was a pretty shocking thing for someone to burn £1 million. But no one really did. A few papers showed it, interest, Scottish newspapers and the Times and the Express in London, but the whole thing fizzled away very, very quickly. Now, if it had been my £1 million that was burnt, I would have been slightly upset that no one was actually interested in it at all, but they both didn't seem concerned about it at all. The other thing is that being the only sort of journalist who saw it, and also being someone who'd been working for them, which is in the piece, which I, obviously admit to in the piece, I'm slightly compromised as a witness. So they've actually created an event in a way which is designed not to be believed. And if you write a piece, you obviously would like to think people believe what you're writing, you know. Yeah.
There you go. There's a way.
Splendid. Right, I'm going to spit all this stuff out. Here we go. Whoa, stone me. Look, if you look, you can actually see. I don't want to touch it. You can see the 50 on that one there. Look.
The dust. Well, you could get it analysed, I suppose, if you didn't believe that it was really £1 million. I suppose you could do that.
No, I mean, you know, of course I know it is £1 million, but I probably got, there's probably about a couple of £100 on my fingers there, isn't there?
£1,000.
But it would be wonderful if there was some kind of, I don't know, banknote equivalent of a Geiger counter that you could run over all that stuff.
There you go, I thought it was all fine powder.
When you actually look at that now and think, well, that was £1 million, and now look what it is. That represents...
I think it looks better like that. It's a lot more interesting.
Well, interesting because you know that it was £1 million.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd known that was £1 million and now it's just that kind of grey stuff, you'd think, wow, you know, there must be something pretty odd going on here.
That's almost art gallery territory.
Yeah, I know.
I think you are getting, you're getting a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Oh, look at that. That's a big bit.
Yeah, got it now. Just there. See the hatching on that guilloche pattern. Right, it's the bottom part of the piece.
Yeah, 8 there. Okay. So that's 81,550.
That's right.
Yes, £81,000. 81,850. Or thereabouts.
Yeah. That's an awful lot of money.
Was.
And you were convinced that's real money?
Yes.
From the test you've done?
From the test we've done,
And the test you've done, it's real £50 notes and there's about 80,000
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah. It could be a lot more, it could be twice as much, or even more.
Safe end.
Right. Okay, battery's alright. Okay, take that tape out and put it in the glove.
Oops, sorry, you like that, don't you? You like that, don't you? I'm on the phone now. Well, it was like with the video camera, because we played with it with bands and things, taking photos of bands when they've been on stage and things. It was like, I just sort of had to set it up and keep it going, and I wanted to burn some, so I put it down at the back, as you saw, and left it on a stone, and just went to burn it, and then just sort of got more shots with it. It was one I could hardly tell through a viewfinder what it was going to come out like. I think I saw it once after that, and that's about it. It's a pile of cash, it's a pile of paper, isn't it? Wealth in yourself. That's what I try to convince myself with now, to make myself feel better about it. My mum doesn't agree. She found out about the article in the paper and she's like, she just doesn't deal with it. She can't. What's this? Nah. She just doesn't want to believe it that it actually happened. You have friends who do things like that, and it's like, well, yeah, Mum. Well, they're my friends. They can do it. It was theirs. And that was it. She doesn't want to speak to me about it anymore. No, I don't think anybody else knows really. You just leave it, don't you?
It's good. That's about a week. Bit of mileage out of it.
Gimper's a good cameraman.
He is a good cameraman, actually, isn't he? I think he's done a sterling job there.
Sterling. He's made us both look good, which is more than most people can do.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the tape in. It's working.
No, right now I do think it's the best bit of filming, that we've ever had.
Trouble is, we're not filmmakers, though. So, you know.
I know, yeah. So we can't judge.
No, so we can't ever show it to anybody.
Was Gimper's film?
That's true.
Gimper's the filmmaker.
Still trying to drag Gimper. I don't think it should be shown in a cinema because we'd be seen as trying to present something again.
A film by Gimper.
What you say? You don't want it as your film. You want it as my film.
Directed, and
it's nothing to do with you.
Directed by Gimper.
Oh right, directed.
I mean, the thing is, we don't want to be a film company. We don't want to be filmmakers because when it's not our job. And you did actually film it anyway.
I don't think Jimmy and I would have never made that film, would we?
No.
Yeah. If we put it together and just send it to Cannes and get down there for the league, I'll be happy. Can we have a league there? But you'd be coming on that league, or would you be nothing to do with it?
No, there would be nothing to do with it. We'd just be at home.
It would just be you and all
the washing up.
But what would it's just like, well, if anybody asked me, it's like, well, yeah, they're the actors, and I just got rid of them now. That's it. It's my film.
Well, I mean, you can do what you like with it, really. We can just sort of help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, help just like normally is. Yeah.
Well, it's like all those film festivals around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend the next 5 years just touring that film and hardly ever be back home, probably, if you wanted to.
You're trying to get rid of me. I just sent you postcards from everywhere.
Well, lend you an Aston Martin.
Okay, see how long, I could have hacked that for a little while.
Yeah.
And somebody was telling me that there's...
Can't I just go and show it around at gigs and things?
No, you want to do it properly.
That's a proper film.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've thought is like, it's just on the little, the view cam thing, the quality's not that good enough to put on film.
No, we'll be alright, I think.
Okay. What can I tell you?
Does that exist as a work of art? And would anybody be interested in purchasing it as a work of art?
Who made it?
The K Foundation.
Is that various people, or is that a person?
2 people.
And do they say they're artists?
Yes.
Let's see. This is an auction next month. I mean, this is £30,000 to £40,000. If that's art, I suppose maybe that could be art. I suppose.
Would it depend on us verifying the fact that this is real money? Because I know that the
no, I think
it's
irrelevant. If it's gold bullion or £1 million burned, I think that's irrelevant. I think it's art if it was made by an artist. I mean, I couldn't sell it for you, unfortunately.
Since the money is burnt, the object now, with the burnt ashes, has a value which is an artistic value, which bears no relation to the original value of the currency inside. That's how I would come to conclusions, in the sense that the whole gesture of burning this fantastic iconoclastic gesture, sort of anarchist gesture of disposing of this money, putting it into this case, and along thinking back to the K Foundation's own history of their involvement with Rachel Whiteread and so on, that's what adds value to this. And I think that I could sell a case like this for about £1,000, which means that I would ask £1,200 and settle for £850.
Oh no. Oh no. Shocking. And what I think would be quite interesting to do with it is to take it back to the Tate.
Alright.
And project it outside.
What, like the rebels trying to storm the art establishment again?
Skeezer.
Yeah.
He wants to show it against a wall in the City of London, have a bonfire, and as the film's coming out of the spool, he wants to be cutting it off in second lengths, second of film, you know, second of real time, and selling each second for £1.
Okay, that's a good one.
So,
It would be good to put it out on the net and stuff, because you'd get people who were specifically interested in the K Foundation.
Yeah.
I think it should be done in a way that you have to kind of find out where it's happening, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
A bit mysterious to start off with.
Yeah, I think so.
don't you think? I
Just-
think there's part of me that thinks we should be making, once we know what all the 5 places are doing, we should be making a joint statement. This is what's happening.
Oh, right,
November the 5th, K Foundation.
The first time that they approached me was to do the money exhibition, and they wanted to put it on again in Liverpool. So we decided to approach the Tate, and we knew £1 million cash would be safe in their hands. The Tate entered into debates about the exhibition, loads of meetings, and then they said, it's been done and we don't really want to do it again. It's a really important statement that the K Foundation have made. It's really relevant. It is the most important statement of the late 20th century, and the Tate have turned it down. But that's, you know, that's art galleries for you, isn't it? Nothing that's got any potency is ever accepted by the established art world at the moment of potency, is it? It's only in retrospect that they're able to kind of assimilate it into their culture, isn't it, retrospectively?
And we are backtracking a certain amount, even talking about projecting onto buildings, aren't we? Which is something that loads of people do all the bloody time. But anyway, you know, I think we should still do it.
What were you thinking below on the,
I was thinking on that wall, some screens on that wall directly below. So if we were to photograph it now, the images would be there and the Tate Gallery there above it. Do you know what I mean?
It's more heroic above, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. But it's not a huge screen ready built, is it?
Well, we could put one up there. We could try, you know, we could
But
go into
there's always
discussion.
something nice about just doing something on the side of a building, I think.
I think it's quite, it's a bit more unofficial, and you're just kind of doing it if it's just there.
So you have actually got to analyse it, this is for real?
It's been valued between £1,000 or £100,000. There's a gallery called Gimple Feast who's quite interested.
What?
Gimple Feast.
Right.
Who are quite interested in putting it on in one of the sort of European art markets.
Right.
And
this is the suitcase, not the ash, but the whole thing, the suitcase with the ash in it.
this is the suitcase, the ash, and documentation.
Right.
If you had all those things together with the film, you could build it into an artwork that was worth something and that would cause some interest.
Right.
Which I think is what you should probably be doing with it.
Right.
I spoke to a few people on the phone, you know. Everybody expresses some interest in it. I'd be willing to bet a little bit of money that people would buy
I
it.
don't think I want to sell it, actually. Have you heard about this brick idea?
Well, what is the brick?
Well,
What's
the brick is the ash kind of put into a form that's, you know,
And what are you going to do with the brick?
Well, the same thing we'd do with the suitcase.
Yeah, but you know, if you burn £1 million, whether that is a stupid, ridiculous thing to do, it's a grand thing to do, right? If you make it into a brick, you know, you've made some pathetic little object.
A lot of pop stars end up a lot worse off than
Oh, sure, I'm
having
not.
a brick.
But why? I think, you know, it's a ridiculous idea.
Fair enough. But you'd probably think burning £1 million was a ridiculous idea, though.
I think it's pretty ridiculous, yeah.
Right.
But once you've done it, to then make it into a brick, just to throw away what's actually worth money again on something that's so kind of tiny and insignificant.
Yeah, we've done the thing that we wanted to do, which was to burn the money. It's kind of irrelevant, really, this whole thing about the ash and the brick.
But if you want to get rid of the ashes, just give the ashes to me.
No, we don't. We didn't say we didn't want to get rid of
ashes.
What?
They're ours.
The second alternative, which I'm, you know, think's a very, very strong argument, is you just take all those remains and you send them off to the Bank of England and claim back all the money that's there.
But that,
yeah,
for
we're being
us,
through that. We can't,
you know,
because we have to say that we did it by accident.
But you don't even know why you've done it.
But that doesn't matter. Taking it to the Bank of England is boring.
So why not stop?
Well, yeah.
Well, you can't, obviously. No, you can't.
The only way we can
yourself.
stop is by being dead. You know, we can't
you
just
can't stop
suddenly
yourself
stop
doing some
everything.
kind of KLF type thing with it. I think you're scared to go to an art gallery.
Scared?
I don't think you've got
Why?
a bottle to see it out there displayed and laughed at.
The film is like an exhibition of it.
No, but it isn't.
It is. It's
No,
a
it isn't.
document.
It's not enough. If you put it out as a film, you're not going to get people trying to explain it. You're going to get a lot of giggling, you know, when it's shown late night in various cities around the country. And maybe it'll turn into a sort of cult little film. But no one will kind of look at it in any kind of deeper way than that.
Now, a bit further down. Okay, that's it, I'll do.
This is the Guardian, the media Guardian. Why did the K Foundation burn £1 million? There will be screenings of the film, Watch the K Foundation Burn £1 million, at relevant locations over the next 12 months. Each will be followed by a debate attended by Messrs Crotty and Drummond, where the answers to the above questions and others will be sought.
Why did you want to have the advert in then?
I don't really know why, but we felt... It was because we didn't want to look as if we were crawling back to the music business, and that was the only place we'd be accepted. So we wanted to make it look as... make people realise that it's a bigger thing.
The thing that I think is funny, right, is that you've turned up at a rock music conference, and you're the biggest rock stars here, you've got a TV crew with you, you're getting in a lift and the cameras are going. Don't you think it's a bit ironic? It's funny, really, isn't it?
Do you want someone to introduce, or do you want to introduce?
No, it's for that thing, that compilation album. Save the Children. Well, shall I do it now, because everybody's here?
Yeah, all right.
Can I have your attention, please? Hey! Thanks for coming. We're the K Foundation, and we're going to show you our film, which is called Watch the K Foundation Burn £1 million.
And it lasts about an hour, and hope you enjoy it.
Oh, you could have got this one. It's horny.
It wasn't doing
Horny.
Corny.
It's horny.
Horny.
Are you sure?
Is it giving you an erection?
Totally. No. I thought you said the honest.
Well, at least he said horny. He's got an erection.
And it's symbolic and it's kind of, you
Spiritual.
know, spiritual.
It's all
and those
ecstasy, yeah.
things, isn't it? It's a rave.
It's a rave. Fucking white snake don't take heed, do they? Or
Look
trips.
at
They just look at
Blackmail.
themselves in the mirror. They look exhausted.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're zombies now, aren't they? So it's definitely rave.
Yeah.
If they're zombies, it's definitely rave.
It's 2:44.
What means burning?
Do you know why you did it?
No, that's what's said. That's why we're here. We're going to be...
Well, how do you feel about it now, a year on?
Oh, I feel pretty good about it now. I was a bit worried at first, but now I've had time to, soak it up. I think it's probably the best thing we've ever done.
Was $1 million all you had? I mean, could you have burned more? Were you left over with more money?
It was all the profit that we've made from selling records after we paid tax and stuff.
So
like
basically
that.
left you with pretty much nothing?
Well, it's left the K Foundation with virtually nothing.
And yourselves?
Obviously, you know, people play our records around the world, and that's what we live on.
It looks like a waste of money.
It looks like a waste of money.
But then I haven't got that money to burn, so I wouldn't know.
It's very indulgent.
It's very indulgent, yeah. I think.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's not irresponsible enough. It's your money, you can do what you want with it. You can snort it, you can do whatever you want to do with it.
I think it's very art, and the question is it's not popular enough. This was an art event.
You should set fire to yourself.
Hang on, I want to... We should have set fire to ourselves.
No.
It's
your money. Don't forget that.
You may be right. We haven't thought of that, have we?
No.
What you're left with, the film and the ashes, is art. Because it's got a million different reactions. You might have meant it to be rock and roll, you might have meant it to be anything or nothing. But what it's left with is art.
We should have been celebrating.
Because we got out really, really well. We did well. Nobody ripped us off. We came out, in the black.
We haven't had a flop, have we?
No.
And it was all just going like that. I mean, it's perfect. But for some reason, we came out of it feeling really awful. So we should have gone the whole hog, really. Well, we should have both died of a drug overdose. Everything would have been fine.